So we are the Indiana County Sustainable Economic Development Task Force. That is the organization that has put together all these webinars for you. To give you some background, we were just founded in April 2017. The Indiana County Commissioners held their first Sustainable Economy Summit, which was a meeting held at Rustic Lodge, which works to identify a need to discuss sustainable practices that could be adopted in our local economy. Moving forward, they established the task force. And the commissioners who were in office at the time were Shireen Hess, Michael Baker, and Mr. Ruddick. The task force began to work on its report in September 2017, and they established 4 focuses in sustainable agriculture, renewable energy, building construction materials, and environmental restoration and stewardship. Within those 4 focuses, they wanted to focus on or look for opportunities for economic development, workforce development, and citizen education. Since then, we've had a lot of different workshops to develop goals for the community. We've identified some 5 main goals, having a specific mission, creating an office of sustainability, which even though we don't have a proper office, they do have me acting as their sustainability coordinator. One of their goals was to hold an annual economic summit so the community could come together and share, opportunities for growth and, showcase any progress that we've made. They wanted to work on incorporating sustainability into our long-range community plans. And of course, they wanted to look into expanding broadband access in Indiana County. And I think that that's something that is incredibly relevant today. So then in September 2018, they came together and shared their report. We had a bunch of amazing, inspiring speakers. And then in 2019 going forward, we had the solar co-op take off. We had a lot of other organizations start practicing more sustainability. The Indiana Borough has been a great partner in collecting plastic bags for Evergreen Conservancy, holding their rain barrel workshops, and redoing their 8th Street lot. So they've definitely been a champion for this. Moving forward, again, we had some staff members join. And, we've continued to fight for expanding broadband access. If you're interested in finding out more information about the sustainability movements that are happening in Indiana County, you can look at our website or send us an email at sustainableindianacounty@gmail.com, and we'd be happy to work with you. So I think that is all I have to share. How are we going on the Facebook?
Looks good.
All right. Oh, yep, I see it. All right. Excellent. So, with that, Ramiro, you can go ahead and oh, everyone, this is Ramiro. He is from Dripped on the Road. He has brought art to our downtown in Indiana, and he has founded Dripped on the Road, which is an art residency program, which travels to a lot of different communities and not only brings art, but looks to reduce its carbon footprint as it does so. And, through this art, they're able to invest in the community. But I'll let Ramiro talk more about that. So Ramiro, everybody.
All right, thank you so much. Let me see here if I will share my screen. Can everybody hear me? Molly, you can hear me?
Yes.
Great. So let's just get started here. So like Molly mentioned, my name is Ramiro. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be part of this project and this program. I am an artist myself, and along with another group of artists and our Dripped on the Road residency program, we came to Indiana, as hopefully some of you might know, in 2020 to do this public art project. So what I'm going to be talking about today is public art and creative sustainability. Which is something that we have come up with to address sustainability issues in the public art field. So I'm an artist. I have been painting for a really long time, moved back and forth originally from Argentina to Massachusetts, then to New York. And I've just been interested in painting and in creating my entire life. These are some paintings that I did when I was at a residency program in Germany. And the residency model is something that I was very, very interested in. And I truly gained a lot from the artist residency field through traveling and through doing all of that. So many people might not know what an artist residency program is. So what these programs are, there's thousands all over the world. And they bring artists to new locations. They take them out of their comfort zone, and the artists there get together usually either by themselves or with other artists in this program, and they create either new work or they work on another body of work that they have been working on before. It is an incredible growing experience for a lot of artists. And like I mentioned, they're all over the world. There are multiple all over the US. There's actually one we partnered with in Indiana. That I will mention soon. But these programs, they support all kinds of artists, including musicians and performers, sculptors, architects, writers, visual artists, and so many more. And they're very different. Some will pay the artists, some will not. Some will fly you out there. Some will support all of your materials and a variety of different things. So if you are interested, I just highly recommend that you just go to Google and you can just type in artist residency programs, and you can see the vast network of programs that there are out there. And I'm sure there are many around where all of you live. So the artist residency program really taught me a lot. And when I got to New York City, I, of course, began to see all kinds of public art and just really cool things going on that I really wanted to be a part of, you know. So this is actually a mural that I did with another artist named Below Key. This is one I did with another artist, Jake Clone from Mexico. We did this in Mexico, in Akumal. And I was really, really interested in the power of public art, you know, and what we could do by just changing a surface. You know, for me, public art and the power of it, in my entire life, it has inspired me. I loved as a kid seeing murals and seeing all kinds of, you know, art on the street and just loving it and thinking about how they made it and what the messaging was. But public art can actually inspire and educate and inform a community. It can certainly be a catalyst for conversation and for community building, as we have seen through this project that we have done in Indiana. You know, it takes old abandoned spaces and neglected spaces and it activates them. And it tells stories, you know. Some of these murals and places, they tell the story of the community or the story of the artist or just the story of the image that is there. And through that, it can serve as an educational point and focal point in these communities. It's free. It's something that people can do during COVID times. You know, you can put on a mask, you can be socially distant, and you can go with your family, with friends, with your dog, or by yourself, and you can go and you can see all of this free public art all over the walls of whatever city, you know, you're in. But in Indiana now, you know, on 6th Street and in Philadelphia Ave and all those locations. And one of the most important things that it also does is it can serve as an economic stimulus. So, you know, with a place now becoming a point of interest for people to come in to see public art and to interact with it, people will start to come to that town. They'll start taking pictures, interacting. They might get hungry. They might go buy some pizza. They might go buy some coffee. They might want to stay an extra night, you know, to see what's going on in the city or in the town. And so, you know, public art has huge potential to help stimulate and to help economies and to help communities. It's something that really has affected me. And it was something that really affected and has affected the other two directors whom I launched this program with, Jonathan Neville and Denton Burrows. Jonathan actually gave myself and Denton our first opportunity to paint public art in Manhattan. And he gave that opportunity actually to a lot of other artists. But through our conversations and our mutual interest in public art and in the residency model, we got together, and in 2016, we launched a traveling artist residency program called Dripped on the Road. We have been to so many places, and I'm really excited to share the past projects we've done, and especially this project that we did in October 2020, where we kind of pivoted towards a more sustainable model. Dripped on the Road's a traveling artist residency program. So like Molly mentioned, we bring artists to different towns, different communities, and we paint murals there, and then we interact with those communities through a variety of different workshops that we host. We really try to foster like a unique creative space for our artists, because as I have participated in residencies, and Denton and Jonathan know how important it is also to give artists space to create and to be inspired, we really wanted to foster that kind of space. And through our travels, through our camping, through our documentary series, through all of these additional things that we do on top of painting, we believe we've really been able to kind of create this unique spark for our artists to thrive off of. So since 2016, we have painted over 100 murals. We've traveled over 15,000 miles, painted in 20 cities and 15 states. We've hosted over 20 artists, and some of the artists that we hosted are local artists where we partner with them to paint with them alongside them in their own community. And we've partnered with over 60 organizations. And I have to say that it is so important, these partnerships, because through partnerships, that is how a community is built. And that is the only way that we have truly been able to do all of the things that we've been able to do. Additionally, which I will mention in this talk, we have also made a goal of planting 200 trees per project and hosting these upcycling workshops where we teach the community how to upcycle. Well, actually, Jonathan teaches the community how to upcycle their spray paint cans and turn them into lamps and other useful materials, planters, so that we can, you know, reuse all of these things that we're constantly using. So these are some photos now of some of the, you know, couple first murals that we created. I know I said we painted 100, but I'm not going to show you 100. We don't really have time for that. You are welcome to go onto our website, which Molly has put into the chat, and check out all of the different, you know, murals and travels that we have done. But this was one of our first ones with artists Grace Lang and Nicole Salgar in Durham. This was in Ithaca, New York. If you can see my mouse here, this was our resident artist, Below Key, who came on the trip with us. And this was actually a local artist, Jim Garmhausen, who had actually never painted anything that big. So he was really excited that we reached out to him and made space for him on the wall that we had gotten to paint and to collaborate. Another mural that we did in Nashville with our resident artists, Kit Nazares here and Lauren Asta there. Myself and Denton also painted. This one is in Hamburg, New Jersey, again with Below Key. And so these are his works there and there and there. He loves these monkeys. Again, another one in 2017 in Atlanta. This is Lauren Asta. Right here is Kit Nazares, and I got down a little bit over here. This was a really special project that we did. We were at a barcade in Columbus, Ohio, and they asked for like an 80s themed mural. So we all came together and we each did an 80s themed thing here. So I did The Simpsons over here. Trasher, who is from Mexico City, did Jason McMonster here, who is from Portland. These are our two resident artists. He did Jaws, and then Denton did RoboCop over here. So if you don't know any of those movies, you might be too young or something, check them out. They're cool. This is a project or a residency in 2019 with our artist, Caitlin McDonough from Canada, and Val Volkova from Philly. And another one, Trasher in Pittsburgh, Kit Nazares. So you can kind of start seeing just the vast array of styles and different walls and projects and cities that we have been in to do all of these things. Lastly, this was Val. She painted this for a mural festival in Charlotte. And one of the special things about this one and the two painters that we brought is that they had never really painted large scale murals. And part of our residency program, as I had mentioned before, right, to take artists out of their comfort zone and put them into new places, was to really encourage them to paint big. And if they didn't feel so comfortable, or maybe they didn't know how to do it, we were there to help them. And, you know, whatever they needed, we were there so that we could encourage them to now take this new thing and involve it into their practice. So that was really, really exciting for us to be able to do this and to give them this opportunity. So before I go into this section, I have to say that as our program began maturing, and we started really seeing not only the community impact that we were doing, but also the impact that we had on the environment, you know, it started to worry us. And myself, along with the other directors, got together and we started talking about, you know, what could we do? What are things that we could do to not only serve as an example for other communities and other public artists and other projects, but just for ourselves and for our own interest in keeping this world alive and keeping this world healthy. So Denton actually came up with this cool little logo here and the idea of creative sustainability, you know, where we now are not only focused on creating public art, but we're also focused on a variety of other sustainability goals that we would be able to bring to these communities that we were working in. And what I'm going to show you now is a video that we shot and edited. We wanted to use this video to be kind of a catalyst for conversation and to further the agenda of sustainability that we had. We don't want to keep this info for ourselves. We want other people to join us in this movement. And there are a lot of people who are already working in this public art sustainability field, but we wanted to show it through this muralist view. And we wanted to show that this is possible and these things are attainable, but we have to work together and we have to change our focus from painting as much as we want, whenever we want, to also adding these other sustainability goals so that we can, you know, leave a place better than it was when we got there. So my apologies if the video is a little bit choppy. All of these videos are on our website and you're welcome to go on dotheroad.com and check this video out after if for some reason it's a little choppy or you can't hear it as well. So here we go.
Over the past 4 years of Dripped on the Road, we have witnessed the honest and positive impact public art can have. However, our business model and our conscience can no longer ignore the reality that the planet we love and have a compassion for traversing is in trouble. Therefore, Dripped on the Road can only continue our original mission of spreading public artwork for the betterment of communities by also making sure our visual impact doesn't further harm the world we share with these communities. We believe we can maintain our mission while simultaneously minimizing and even offsetting our carbon footprint by engaging in proper partnerships and sustainability practices before, during, and after each trip. We encourage you to join us in this pursuit as we have accepted the challenge and are confident it will make our mission, message, and final product more powerful, as well as enrich the meaning of your valued support. Thank you, and see you on the road.
Alrighty. So let me see if I can get off of this thing now. Let me see where's the next button. Alrighty. So clearly there, both Lisa Bolden, who was one of our videographers, and Brad Devins, they made that video and they explained it a little more eloquently than I did. But you know, that's really what we wanted to foster is that sustainability goal for our public art projects. And as you can read here, these are the goals that myself and Denton and Jonathan came up with as a baseline, right? This is a pilot program. This is something that we're trying to do, and we understand that there's a lot of changes that can happen and a lot of different moving parts. But these are our overall goals. And in order for us to really be as sustainable as possible, you know, we needed to have strategic partnerships with local conservation organizations wherever we went, sustainable painting practices. We wanted to offset our carbon emissions from the program, which means a lot of math that we'll get into later. We wanted to plant trees with the local community. And we also wanted to have educational community workshops on spray painting, recycling, and upcycling, because all of those things really involve sustainability and sustainability of the art that is also there. So some of the ways we were able to reach that is through strategic partnerships, like I mentioned. This one in particular, we're really proud of because we partnered with a company called Smog Armor. And hopefully, if some of you were there in Indiana, you got to see this paint. This is air purifying paint, and no, I am not lying. It cleans the air. Smog Armor will eliminate 95% of indoor air pollution in an hour if you paint your whole room with that paint. It works for 3 to 5 years, cleaning the air. It's non-toxic, 0 VOCs, made here in the USA. It has eco packaging. And really the nitty gritty of it is that it contains a mineral in it called zeolite. And the way that it was explained to me is that zeolite is used by Honeywell and NASA in the International Space Station to take out the carbon so that the astronauts don't choke on their own breath. So it was like a pretty genius idea that Tim Sperry, who is the director of Smog Armor, came up with, and it's really tried it. And I highly suggest that that you can go to the website and just to get more info, shoot them a message, let them know they're doing cool work. I don't work for them, but I love when our mission of painting public art and being sustainable matches with a company who's also doing that. So we were so excited to be able to work with them. And, you know, public art is just like 4% of what this paint could do. I mean, think about hospitals, schools, maybe, you know, clothing. Think about it. There's so many different aspects where something like this can be used. And we're just really lucky that they decided to support not only our project, but support the community of Indiana by supplying all of this paint that is cleaning the air. The other aspect that we really wanted to try out for our pilot program in October was planting trees. And, you know, planting trees is extremely important because it captures CO2. Of course, it provides shade that cools off the ground and water and everything. It gives us some oxygen. And the more trees we plant, the larger impact that we can have on the communities that we're in. But we need a lot of trees. And I'm going to get, again, into the math of it a little bit later once I show you what we've done in Indiana. So I can talk the talk, but I'm going to show you. We are so lucky that once we had these sustainability goals, as well as our residency project, we reached out to Hannah Harley at the Spruce Art Residency. And I did a site visit in March of 2020, right before COVID, just to Indiana, just to meet everybody, meet all the stakeholders in the community, people who were interested in what we were doing and in the public art aspect. And it was really incredible. And I felt that people were really, really excited. And that there hadn't really been something like that in Indiana. So as the people who I met were very, very excited and jumped on board, we started planning this project. And we're like so lucky that while we did reach out to Hannah, this was a community thing. This is something that the entire community came together to help us do this and to make sure that this project functioned and worked well. They kept us fed, that we had a housing. I mean, it was just an incredible experience. We filmed a documentary with it, and we will be premiering the documentary in Indiana, hopefully very soon. We just have to kind of figure out our schedule, but hopefully we will be able to bring that to you very soon, because we just want to share this experience again with the community of Indiana. So our program, Trip Down the Road, partnered with Spruce, and we brought our artists to Indiana. We brought Sarah Rutherford from Rochester. We brought Evan Lovett from Philadelphia, Risa Boogie from Poughkeepsie, Damian Mitchell from Brooklyn, and we brought Brad Devins, who goes by Owly. He's our videographer, and he came from Brooklyn, as well as myself, Denton Burrows, and Jonathan Neville, the other two directors, and Yuki, Jonathan's Pomchi dog. So I'm going to show you, if you aren't familiar with some of the works that we did, I'm going to show you right after this what we did. We were so lucky to have been able to partner with them because we painted 14 new murals in Indiana. We planted 200 trees, or we planted 200 trees. We hosted a workshop with 30 students. We hosted 4 new artists, and we used this air purifying paint. And I think one of the most important parts of this section is the residency partners. I think, you know, it is true what they say, that it takes a village. And it certainly took a village for us to be able to do this. And it would not have been possible if it wasn't for all of the partners that you see down here. Sustainable Indiana County, Spruce, Indiana County Conservation District, Western Pennsylvania Conservancy, the Jimmy Stewart Museum, Smog Armor and Cobra and the Evergreen Conservancy, and the Office of Planning and Development. Without all of those people helping, we just would not have been able to have the impact that we did and have been as successful as we did, as we were. So here are some murals. This one was done by Risa Boogie right here. It's a Wonderful Life. I wonder where she got that quote from. This was really special to watch her paint because she just had such positive energy and really was instrumental in bringing, you know, good vibes to the whole community. This is When Coal Was King by Evan Lovett. I have to say that this mural really, really sparked so much needed conversation. We had about 50 coal miners come through, and their families come through and tell us about their stories and the things that they were doing, and the history that they had with coal. We shared stories from our side and from their side, and we just learned so much. It was such a special thing that happened. And we were really able to put politics aside and just talk person to person. And this was just such a special thing that happened, because this one truly exemplified the way that murals can start conversations between communities and between neighbors. And it's so needed. And it was definitely needed in October 2020, right before the election, but it's still so needed today in the United States. This one is Evan painting a hawk. I left this one undone so that, you know, if you're interested, you should go. You should swing by and you should check it out. This is a mural that I painted of Christmas trees at Bob's Subs. They might not look like Christmas trees, but I assure you those are Christmas trees. All painted with smog armor and a little bit of black paint with spray paint. Another mural I did with Damian Mitchell. These are the dogs that live at Indiana Schwinn, the bicycle shop. That is Sprocket and Rocky. And then the one in the back is just one of their dogs that had passed away. And these are, you know, this is us responding to what the community wanted. So they wanted this, we went and we painted that. These are murals that are right down the street from that one, painted by Denton Burrows to the left and Ratchy NYC to the right. This one is, Ratchy's is almost all smog armor, except again for the black lines. So you can see how that one is just going to be cleaning that alleyway every single day for the next 5 years. Again, this is another example of the response that we had with the community. The instructor of Sunflower Yoga Studio just asked us, you know, hey, my paint is all chipping down here. Can you guys do something? And Evan, at like 5:30 at night, got all of his paint, set up a light, and he just painted this for her. And it was just, again, another example of just responding to what the community wants then and there. The one on the right is painted by Damian Mitchell. And here he was, you know, of course, talking about global warming, the fires that are happening, and conservation efforts that go for all of the animals involved. Another one by Damien. This one I left undone because it is a spectacular portrait of Jimmy Stewart at the Jimmy Stewart Museum. And I just highly encourage anybody who hasn't seen this to just go and look at it. Maybe you might pop into the museum, watch a movie, learn a little bit about Jimmy Stewart, but this was really cool to see him paint this. And again, all of these things that I'm showing you will be available, and you will be able to see much more in depth through our website and through the documentary that we have coming out. This is another awesome mural that was a great collaboration that just happened on one of the last days that we were there. Denton Burrows and Damien got together and they painted Jonathan here. And this one's called Metamorphosis. And it's about, you know, people turning into machines through all of the technology that we are using. And it's actually a really cool conversation piece because to the side of it is the When Coal Was King mural, which talks about the history, you know, in the past of Indiana. And this one kind of talks about like the future of how people are turning into these robots through technology. So it's really cool to have both of those there in conversation like that. And this, you know, this one might give a different vibe of the murals and something a little bit, you know, more spicy for maybe the kids to see or something. This one was an incredible mural. We brought in Sarah Rutherford from Rochester, and she has a project that she does called Her Voice Carries, where she paints like a female leader of one community in another community. And then she'll go to that community and then find a leader there and paint her in another community. And this starts a dialogue between communities and a conversation where they almost become kind of like partner sister communities. So this image, this is her yoga instructor. She was actually getting her yoga certification right before she came on the road with us. And she wanted to bring her and her good energy to Indiana. And this is her as she's done. Sarah was a badass. She spent like 10 hours every day in a little bucket. I don't even know if you can see it, but in the bucket of that truck for 2 weeks. It was just, she just worked so hard to paint this and to really give this to the community of Indiana. We were just really lucky to have all of these artists that I've mentioned involved because they gave their all to this community. So before I jump into this next part, I showed you all of these murals. I talked about, you know, a little bit about our sustainable goals. But something I didn't mention was actual community sustainability that has nothing to do with nature. So community sustainability to continue to have our murals there, the interest of public art. We want to have professional development opportunities for the local community, educational opportunities for the local youth. And we want to be able to continue to teach, which we will, that I will mention something later. But we want to be able to keep fostering, interest and creativity in public art. We don't want to be the people who come from the outside to do this. We want to foster community interest in people from the inside to be able to do this. And I know that there's so much interest in this because of the hundreds of people that stopped by and asked us if they could learn how to do this. How can they do this? How can they get a wall and do these things? So in these two sections of professional and educational opportunities, we have a lot coming to Indiana County through a lot of different partnerships. But we're very, very excited to be able to bring more of these into the community. And I'm only going to mention it for a second later, and then that's it. You guys will see what happens. But another part of the community sustainability is the economic stimulus, that happens through public art. Now that you're seeing this here, you can maybe realize that there is a couple of murals here, and there's some murals scattered around. Oh, you can actually see these two right here. There's murals scattered around the town. And one of our goals was to have people, families, communities come by and look at all of this art, bring their dogs, walk their dogs by, interact with it, take photos. And we want for Indiana and Indiana County to be a place where people come to see this art. And while they're seeing this art, they might go get some food here. They might get a drink here. They might stay an extra night at a local Airbnb or at a hotel. They might rent a car. They might buy, some local antiques from the shops. And what really made Indiana specifically so powerful was the main street. The main street has restaurants, bars, some gallery spaces, tattoo shops, had all kinds of stuff that on top of having all of those things, having this public art opportunity could really serve as a huge interest point for people to come and at the end of the day spend their money here. Don't spend your money in Pittsburgh, don't go to Philly, come here. This is where you should be coming and spending your money. So that's one of the additions and one of the powers that public art has. On top of that, we had some educational opportunities, like I mentioned before. Jonathan actually led a group of about 30 youth in a workshop of how to use spray paint. And none of these kids had used spray paint, and they were freaking out. They loved it. We used some water-based paint so that it was healthier. And Jonathan taught them, how to use it. But more than anything, he really drove home the point that spray paint can be used as a tool to create. It's often in the news and in other things that you see is, categorized as something that vandals use and people use to vandalize places. But if you've seen the murals that we created, a lot of that stuff was created with smog armor, but also with spray paint. And what we wanted to do, and a goal of ours, was really to just kind of educate the community about the fact that this is a tool and this can be used as a powerful thing to move our art forward. So we're super excited to do these projects because kids love it. They come out and they get to do something that maybe their parents said that they couldn't do. And we really talk to them, as well as with their parents or their caretakers, about the importance of having kids learn different types of art. And on top of that, what they can do with those empty spray paint cans. So it was really, really special for us to do this at the community garden. And you can see this little guy, his gloves were too big for his hands, but that's okay. He was still rocking. And these are professional development opportunities. We have a lot of things that I said and I mentioned that are going to be coming to Indiana, particularly professional development opportunities for young people to learn how to paint murals in a professional manner, and learn how to be part of this public art movement, and hopefully continue to foster that interest in creativity in Indiana County. So before I move on, I've talked a lot about impact, right? And I've talked a lot about what we were able to do and how we were trying to be more sustainable in our practice. Excuse me. What all of those things need are numbers and statistics. I can't tell you that we had a huge impact or that we may have a huge impact if I don't know the numbers, if I don't know the actual facts. So on top of doing all of those painting, running workshops and planting and doing all that, we also collected all of the numbers so that we could really, truly be able to calculate what our footprint was. So this is some of the research that we did. And some of these are very, very important to understand. So yes, we used 30 gallons of paint. This is 30 gallons of air purifying paint. It's amazing. We used a lot of gas to get there. Spray paint caps, 10 bags of trash, which is pretty good actually, 6 bags of recycling. And this is very important here. We consumed 336 local meals. Local is the important word there because we didn't go to fast food restaurants. We didn't go to chain restaurants. We went to local restaurants. And also the community, thank you so much, brought us pizza and food and tacos and Thai food and all kinds of stuff from the surrounding restaurants. But the important thing about eating local is that the money stays in Indiana. The money stays there in the community. On top of that, we're not asking for deliveries and causing more pollution through gas and through all of that. We are just picking up the food right downstairs. And that's, again, another one of the positive things about having that amazing Main Street strip is that it is filled with amazing restaurants and places to eat and to drink. So this is really important because we were able to leave our money there for the community. So with that being said, we also calculated our CO2 emissions. Now, this is something that we haven't really shared, but I want to share it with you guys because that's what this conference is about, sustainability. So this is something that I haven't really seen other public art projects where people truly, truly calculate this to really be able to give you a number. So the CO2 emissions, these are roughish estimates, about 1,200 pounds of CO2. That's based on the meat consumption of one American per week multiplied by the 8 people that were there for the 14 days that we were there for. One of the people actually, a couple of the people were vegetarians. So maybe this number goes down a little bit, but that's what we're gonna go with. The waste consumption, again, based on 1 American per week multiplied by 8 people for the 14 days. The transportation consumption, this is something that all of you can do. If you're interested, you can do this. You can figure this out. I used a carbon calculator that has like a vehicle footprint on it. You just type it into Google, you'll find it. You basically just put in your information of your vehicle, the make, what year it was made in, and then it will come, and how many miles you traveled with it, and it will come up with your CO2 emissions. This one is rather high, and it is rather high because of COVID. We wanted to give our artists the freedom to drive their own vehicle there. And if for some crazy reason they got sick or something came up, they themselves were able to put themselves in their own vehicle and go and take care of whatever they needed to take care of. So, of course, in the future, we would caravan and do more of that. But for this one, it was just important that we did that for people. Another important thing of this calculation was the fact that there actually are no numbers that tell the public, for example, how much 1 can of spray paint, how much CO2 it emits. I couldn't find information on that, nor could I find information on, for example, what is the total CO2 emissions of 1 gallon of paint. So what I did instead was I calculated the travel of the paint to and from the location where it's supposed to come from. So all of our paint came from Miami. So I calculated it's in one pallet each. So I just calculated if one pickup truck went from Miami to Indiana and back, that's how much CO2 it would have emitted. And then I added an extra 500 pounds in here, creating a total of 9,339 pounds of CO2. Now, I share this with you because it's so important to understand the impact that a public art project this small of just 2 weeks can cost. It's important for people to start doing these calculations if you truly want to know where you're at and where our planet is. We need help. We need to really do a lot of more of these calculations so that we can understand what we're doing and what's happening around us. But for us to start off with, this is important for us to show people that it is possible to calculate these things and that it is possible to address this in an important way. So these are 6 ways I wanted to show that, you know, we created sustainably. We planted trees. We actually planted 50, but donated 200 trees to the organizations. We used air purifying paint. We recycled our materials. We ate locally. Again, that's a very, very important thing to do. Even if there's a McDonald's in your town, that is not eating locally. Eating locally is going to the restaurant in your town that is like a mom and pop restaurant. We held workshops and we had strategic partnerships. And again, the strategic partnerships, we could not have been able to do what we did if it wasn't for those partnerships. This last, we're getting close to the end here, but one of these last slides that I want to show you is the most sobering one and is the one that we need to pay attention to a lot. So we donated 200 trees. We planted 50 and the other 150 were planted or will be planted in the spring. But you can see here that it will capture around 9,600 pounds of CO2, which is great. But that's in 10 years if those trees survive. So we have to wrap our heads around the fact that we can't plant our way out of the issues that we're having these days. It is a fine balance between planting and reducing. And we must reduce our consumption. If we continue to consume it the way that we are consuming, we're done. We will never be able to plant enough trees for us to get out of this. And it's super important that we start sharing these numbers and that we start being mature about what's going on in the world and realizing that there are solutions. There are positive things happening, but we have to work together as a community and we have to balance things out. The last thing that I will show you is a snippet of our documentary. Now, this part of the documentary is about our tree planting process. And it has Damian Mitchell speaking, Hannah Harley, and Cindy Rogers. Cindy, who was an instrumental part of having us get the trees and the land, and Hannah is a director of Spruce. And again, I apologize if this is a little choppy or a little bit hard to understand, but I just really, really wanted to show you this so that you can kind of get an idea of where our documentary is headed and get you excited about not only the trees and all the things that we planted, but about watching the documentary with us when we come to Indiana and continuing this push for creative sustainability in the entire county and the world. So here we go.
The idea of offsetting our carbon footprints through tree planting, I also think was a great idea. And it also helps build a relationship between the different artists. You know, it's easy to come in and just do your piece and leave, but we are a community, and that community needs to be built. The purpose of that tree planting was to stabilize a creek bank behind a school, which was being eroded and just not having any habitat for fish, birds, all this kind of stuff. that was educational for us too, you know, to kind of realize where this can be done most effectively.
As if it wasn't enough that this many murals would be here, they're also planting trees that will continue to live on as these murals do long after they're gone.
What the trees do is they shade the water, so the water's a little cooler. The leaves and the debris from the bushes and the trees fall into the streams, and they provide food for the macroinvertebrates, and they provide food for the fish. So the stream is a lot healthier. It's food for animals, it's habitat for birds and animals. It's all good.
Planting the trees at Ben Franklin qualified one of the conservancy groups for a grant, which then meant that the money for 100 trees was used as a cash match, so that now it's going to be 238 trees planted there, which then is going to repair that zone, which then cleans the water, gives a whole new environment to thrive there, and just is an incredible way to give back.
So, alrighty, hold on. Let me just try to see how I can get out of this thing again. Oh. So, I hope you were able to see that. I hope you were able to understand it, that it wasn't so choppy. If it was, then it gives you even more opportunity and interest to come and to join us when we actually have the launch of the video and of the documentary that we were making. This is a photo of the crew together in front of Denton's mural, and yeah, you can see how happy we all are, because truly, if it wasn't for the community of Indiana, we would not have been able to do this. So thank you so much. I really appreciate this time and you guys joining and being able to allow me to share this project with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ramiro. Does anyone have any questions for Ramiro? You're free to ask them now. Raise your hand, put them in the comments section. We can also enable you to speak live if you wish to speak them in person. Give everybody a few seconds to do that.
Oh, I also forgot to mention, crazy that I forgot to mention this, but we, through the partnerships and the things that we were able to do, and really through the other partners that are involved, there was there will be an announcement on March 12th at 12:30, which is a Friday, to announce the fact that the Indiana County received a Creative Communities grant for the next 4 years to create public art in Indiana County. So maybe I'm the first person to tell you guys all this, but we're super, super excited to be able to bring all of those things that I had mentioned before: more professional development opportunities, economic development opportunities, ways that people can really truly learn and grow from public art. And we were just a small part of it, and it would not have been able to happen again with all of the partnerships and all the connections that have been made in Indiana. And the only way we will survive is to work together. And that's not just like survive with public art, but that's like our economy, our schools, our communities, and our health. So it's just so important to continue to work together and to talk to your neighbors, because that's what this is all about.
Yeah, thank you. And we are just grateful to Trip on the Road and the Spruce Residency for bringing this to our community, enabling all of these interactions. We do have a few questions. So one, are you interested in bringing this kind of impact to other communities? I know that there have been questions on our Facebook chat about whether or not you might come to other communities in Indiana.
Yes, absolutely. We would love to come back, which we are going to, clearly, as I had just mentioned. We would love to do that. I think what is really important is for us to come back and to paint and to bring artists and to do this kind of professional development. But really, more than anything, is to kind of teach, train, whatever the word is that you want to use, communities to do this, to empower them to do them by themselves. You don't need to have me there. You could do it. Maybe we could teach you a little bit of how to organize, how to get together, how to paint a wall, how to start asking for walls, the proper letter to write to the building owner. But from the presentation, hopefully you saw all of the different incentives that can happen through public art. Including helping out the economy, which is a huge thing right now. You know, a lot of communities are hurting, and it's just something that we would love to bring to more communities. The only thing I just want to say with that is that it was so special for us to spend the 2 weeks in Indiana, because it really was able to have, we were really able to make a connection with the community and feel part of the community, you know. I mean, Sarah says it in the doc, but you know that you are welcomed into a community when people start bringing you food. And someone brought us like 2 7-foot subs. It was crazy. So yeah, we're so happy to have been able to do that, and we truly hope that we can come and go into other communities so that they can themselves run these public art projects.
Now, was there a specific reason why you chose to focus on one community, or specifically on Indiana Borough, for this first visit?
Yes. Well, I mean, it was from my first visit in March. I actually came to do a residency at Spruce, and I ended up painting a mural at the Horseman School. But just the interest and the interest of the people there was tremendous. It wasn't just, oh yeah, you could paint that wall. I mean, we were going around the town and saying, you can paint that wall, that one, that one, that one, that one, that one. You know, there were so many opportunities to paint that we realized that with that opportunity, as well as reducing our carbon footprint of travel, because we used to travel in an RV from city to city to city, and you saw how many miles we've gone through. So we really wanted to see what kind of impact we could have on a community if we just focused on one place. And I think that was very special and super important because of the connections we were able to make. You know, we might not have met some of the great people that we did if we were only there for a couple days. You know, we might not have been able to hear their feedback, or like some of the other walls I told you that just kind of organically happened. Maybe they wouldn't have happened if we weren't there for that long. So it is super important to focus on a community and to help out as much as we can. And now we realize we had a pretty good impact, and now we can come back, you know, and continue fostering this. I see, you know, Indiana in 10 years as being like a hub for people, for artists, for businesses, for all kinds of people to come and to start their businesses there and to give back to the community. And not just because of what we did, but because of the incredible community that Indiana already is. So yeah, we're just blessed to have met Hannah and everybody else, and we just can't wait to continue this.
Excellent. Do you have any, and I'm asking based off of Facebook posts, so I don't want to put you in a spot. Do you have any particular plans for your next visit? Specifically, are you looking at communities like Blairsville or other communities in Indiana County? And do you think you'll just focus on one again, or branch out into a couple others?
We would love to branch out. you have to start small. So that's the thing. When you go into a community that maybe doesn't have too much public art, you just have to start small. So we have to go and see, kind of tread the, see what happens. If people really, really like it, that's amazing. Then that means that we can bring more artists. We can partner with more companies, more towns and cities, and we can foster more creative growth in those places. But we would love to. We just had to start small. And originally, we were only going to paint 4 murals. So the fact that we had 14 murals was incredible. And then, you know, at the end of our project, we had about 200 people show up for like a community walkthrough and a community tour of all of the murals. And that was able to happen in a socially distant and positive way during COVID. You know, people were wearing masks, people were socially distanced, and they still came out. And that's incredible for not just that town, but literally for like every place, since we're all locked into our homes, you know, to be able to do something and see other people, it was so special.
Absolutely. I've personally witnessed the joy that this has brought people on their walks. You know, I've seen older people, younger people, people with children stopping and looking at these murals. So it's certainly brought joy to the community. One of the last questions was, you know, each artist was chosen for a reason. How was each artist selected for their mural, or how are they selected for different projects if it was commissioned?
Well, so as a program, myself and the other directors, we get together and we kind of, first we see, okay, where could we possibly be going? And what kind of, if we go to a place like this, what kind of work should we bring? And what kind of artists should we have? What artists would work well with those communities? And so that's a lot of our conversation. And really it gets down to the merit of the artwork of each one of these artists. Conversations that we'll have with them, we'll, you know, interview them on the phone, and we'll see if they're the right fit. And off the bat, all 4 of the artists, like, they understood that we were going to Indiana. It was a community that didn't have a lot, that had 3 murals, but it, you know, muralism wasn't like a thing that was happening there. So when you go into communities like that, you just have to start off with relatable and community inspired imagery. And through those first couple ones, then you can kind of start, you know, making, for example, like the Metamorphosis one. You can kind of start going into other directions, but all of them were just chosen because they're incredible artists. And we knew that they would bring a lot of inspiration to the community of Indiana. And I think we were right. You know, and like I said, all of the artists were so happy. I like wish that I could be showing you their reactions through the interviews that we had for the doc, because I think that's really when you're going to see how much Indiana helped them, you know, and how much the community inspired them. I think these are really, really special relationships that we were able to build. And I don't see other ways other than public art as a vehicle to have created these relationships.
Thank you. I think that's very well put. Finally, I wanted to ask, and I think you touched on this a little bit, but how do you source these murals? You know, you initially planned for 4, and that quickly skyrocketed to 14. So that was surely a change of plans. And you know, how do you go about getting funding for these murals in this project?
Funding? Well, I mean, I'll be honest with you. This is a huge question that we were asked, right? So people came by and they said, who the hell's paying for this? And good thing that we had an answer, because we would tell them, well, we did a fundraising campaign. It was mainly people who have never been to Indiana, who have never heard of Indiana, people in New York City, but people who believe in the power of public art. That is who funded this. and people who believe in the power of our creative sustainability goals, our mission, and the fact that they understand that if one community can have this kind of change, any community can have these kinds of changes brought to them and fostered. So that's the honest question, is that we did a fundraising campaign where mainly is like a lot of people that we knew funded this project that they will never see. So the important part, for example, our doc and our other documentary series, which you can all find on our website, is the fact that now we want to use this to show other communities what can be done there. Whether or not we end up partnering with them, they know the power of public art. They know that if they get together and work together, they can do this. So, you know, that's really important for people to understand, because we didn't ask anyone there, you know, we barely asked anyone there for money. The Jimmy Stewart Museum did step up and help out, as well as, of course, a lot of other organizations with in-kind donations and all of that. The Harleys helped out a lot by saying you can paint that wall, that wall, that wall, that wall. But of course, we want to paint something that people will be proud of, not just whatever. So that's just kind of what happened. And look, to be honest with you, the artists painted. You know, they finished a mural and they go, what else can I paint? And so we started just getting on the phone with Hannah and with other business owners. And as other people saw the murals going up, they said, paint my building, paint this building, paint that. And that's just how it worked out. And yeah, they were beasts. You know, they just kept painting and painting and painting. I think Evan and Damien both painted like 4 or 5 murals there. So yeah, that's the exciting part of having, you know, versatile and flexible artists that want to do this.
Yeah, it's excellent that they get to leave a part of themselves with our community, and we're so happy to have their art. The Indiana County Tourist Bureau has stated that they've reached out to surrounding communities to, you know, look for potential locations. And if anyone is interested in learning more about the Creative Communities grant and learning more about that conversation, they can go to sprucearts.com. That's the Spruce Residency or Artist Residency Programs page, where you can find more information on all of this activity. Thank you so much, Ramiro. If no one else has any remaining questions, we'll end the webinar. This has been an excellent conversation, and you've answered so many questions that I know we've been asked as a community regarding the Dripped on the Road program, and we're just thrilled to continue working with you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. I just wanted to say thank you to you, Molly and Raven, and to Hannah and the entire community of Indiana. Again, we would not have been able to do this without you. To our artists, Evan and Risa and Damien and Sarah, and to our videographer, Brad, and to the other directors, Denton Burrows and Jonathan Neville. Again, I would not have been able to do this project without all of your support. So thank you so much. Go to our website if you want, dotheroad.com. You can learn a little bit more about the organization, watch our videos, and please stay tuned, because there are so many amazing opportunities that are coming to Indiana. Just stay strong, and I just can't wait to see the future. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And everybody, if you want to watch more webinars like this about different issues that are affecting our community, go to sustainableindianacounty.org. There you'll find a complete list of all of our sustainable webinars that are happening across the month of March and into April. Our next 2 webinars will be on Thursday at noon and on Friday at noon. And on Thursday, we'll be covering different environmental impacts on local biodiversity. And on Friday, we'll be talking about family forest economic opportunities, how you can make money off of keeping your forest, your family forest, you know, profiting off the woodlot that you already have on your property and maintaining it so that way it collects carbon. So thank you again, Ramiro, and thank you everybody else for joining us today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.